My guest on PM Personality Profile tonight, Kenneth Kwamina Thompson. He's Chief Executive of Dalex Finance and also a Fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales. Also declared Businessman of the Year 2016 and his company Business of the Year 2016 by the Ghana Economic Forum. He's also won some awards for his leadership, innovation and business growth. Good to see you.
Aisha, good to see you. How are you?
I'm good.
You're looking well.
Yes, you too.
One day you should buy me some of your jewelry because I can see you are dripping with gold.
Oh
one day when
my
I grow up, I'll be
goodness.
like,
I'm blessed.
you're
I'm learning
gold.
from the best.
You have to.
Looking well, I'm learning from people like you because you actually look very healthy.
I'm doing my best.
It's very important.
I'm doing my best.
But I see you on television all the time. Why are you always on TV?
You know, I shall love the sound of my voice. but you see, I mean, I think before I respond to that, I think that there's something that I think about every day I wake up. Do you know that by 2050, there will be 50 million Ghanaians?
Tell me.
By 2050, according to the Ghana Statistical Service, there will be 50 million Ghanaians. And approximately 40% of them will be under 15 years old.
Would we be prepared for this?
Where will what they eat? Where will they sleep? By then, the oil and gold is gone. What will they do? What are the jobs? You know, and sometimes I think that, you know, I speak with the arrogance of the righteous.
Okay.
There are so many praise singers in this country.
Yeah.
This country is full of praise singers. You know, because unfortunately we run a patronage system. Patronage system means that somebody dispenses favors according to, you know, whether they like you or not. Yeah. And then we've ended up with a society where thieves, people that steal, they are portrayed as successful entrepreneurs. And they become church elders. And they have private pastors. You know, and you know, the things I talk about are the truth. I'm not going to come and speak about praise and talk about praise. And sometimes people assume that it's easy for me to come out and speak. You know, it's not that easy. I have to dig deep. I remember the first presentation I made was on the Ghana CD, and I was talking about how the CD should be allowed to fall. And I was saying that we were addicted to foreign goods and services, like an alcoholic is addicted to appeal. And because of that, it created a huge demand for dollars. Okay. And that was one of the reasons why the CD was always under pressure. And at that time, I said the CD was going to hit 6 CDs to $1. And before the presentation, I was supposed to drink, as part of my story, I was supposed to drink straight from a bottle of vodka, you know, just a little bit. Aisha, I was shaking so much, the bottle fell down and broke. So it's not easy, but somebody has to speak up.
Definitely.
50 million people. Aisha, you'll be alive, I'll be dead.
That's true.
My children will be alive. 50 million, and I don't think Ghanaians think about that. Yeah. 50 million people with no resources. I've got to speak, somebody's got to speak. And you see, I also remember there was something that happened quite early in my career that, you know, it made me resolve that I was going to speak up. You know, I was a young person working in an accounting firm, and would have been sent to do some work in a village outside Manchester. We got there, it was a factory producing umbrellas. And, you know, the factory it had been passed on from generation to generation. And the partner was scared of the owner. The manager was scared of this tall white man. He had a silver Rolls Royce. He used to park it in front of the factory gate. I mean, can you imagine, in front of the factory gate? But as I was doing my work, I realized that a lot of money was being put into courier services. And I thought, why are they putting so much money into courier services? Then, as I did some more work, I found out that it was actually the man who was taking the money and putting in his pocket. But Aisha, I was scared.
Yeah.
I was scared. And trust me, when it was eventually found out the things that happened, I resolved that I will always speak up. I'll speak up.
So you speak for
I'll
the
speak.
good reasons.
Yeah, I'll speak. And my heart bleeds when I think of the things that are going on, what I see, what I hear, what I smell, and I think of the future.
Yeah.
You know, we've got to speak. People have got to speak. Yes. In any case, you see, I'm going to even go back. My mother was very forthright, so that's where we picked up from. My mother, absolute no nonsense. So it was always in me. It just needed something to trigger it.
To trigger it. I've seen her. She's such a beautiful woman.
My mother was absolutely no nonsense. My mother was she was what we call the first Iraba in her family.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, my mother was an absolute Iraba in her family. And, you know, for me, growing up was in the early 60s. That was at the height of the Black civil rights movement. And growing up for me was Harry Belafonte, it was Louis Armstrong, it was Jim Reeves, it was James Brown, it was all those things. And growing up was listening to the BBC. Growing up was going to Rex Cinema. Growing up was going to Kingsway. That was my youth. And
is it because you
I have to sing for you some Harry Belafonte. I've been practicing.
Oh my goodness, I would love to hear that.
Harry Belafonte. I mean, there's some songs that will be with me forever. It says, "Coconut woman is calling out, and every day you can hear her shout. She's ready for a mama, coconut." Beautiful song. Wow.
I'll get you to sing that for me proper.
Yeah,
But talking about all of this, was it because you were from a wealthy background? And of course, I've heard you say you're a lactogen baby.
Oh, I'm a lactogen baby, complete. You know, look, if my mother heard me cry, if you pick me up from school and I walked, you were in trouble.
Wow.
You were in absolute trouble. There was no way I would walk. I mean, I was chubby. I had everything I wanted, I was given. You know, when I say everything I wanted, within reason, but I didn't lack for much. But we're not rich. We're okay. I mean, my mother was okay. We brought my mother. It was okay. And I saw life change over time. But as a kid, really, I had a birthday all the time. You know, I had toys. It was a time of which I was born. That made a huge difference. But I mean, I was completely lactogen baby. And I still hold the title for the heaviest baby born at Kolibu. No, I hold that title. I think I was over 10 pounds.
My goodness.
Yes.
You gave your mom trouble carrying such a baby.
And I know that, you know, my grandmother came to live with us. She was also very strong. And I saw a lot of beautiful things around me growing up. You know, we had a carpet, you know, the carpets, the gramophone, the record players, you know. My mother's siblings coming to dance over the weekend, you know, so. Wow. Unfortunately, I don't have you know, life is about, you know, where you are at a certain time. I don't have a story of somebody who had to go and sell, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, that's my story.
Wrong. That's my story.
Yeah. You were lucky.
My siblings have a slightly different story because when they were born, things were becoming a bit more difficult.
Okay.
But for me,
so
really,
so you're the eldest.
Yeah, I'm the eldest. I'm the eldest of four.
Of four.
Yeah. So
and
it's
just
me, a sister, and two kids, two twins.
And two brothers. Okay.
Actually, three, but we have five.
Five.
Me, my sister, and three brothers.
Three brothers. Nanoye Litha is your sister.
Yeah, Nanoye is my sister. Nanoye was Nanoye. It's in a lot of ways like my mother. You know, it was my mother kept going.
But she I mean, in picture, she's just a photocopy of your mom.
Yeah, I think, yes, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I think her advantage is that she's had more opportunity than my mother had. Much more opportunity, but yes.
Tell me about your school days, you know, where did it all start from?
So I started school at nursery. I was at New Hope School. Nobody knows New Hope. Yeah, New Hope School. Yes, because New Hope School was founded by Denstis Kofi's wife. Okay. So Mrs. Kofi founded New Hope School. Then from New York School, I went to Achimota Preparatory School. Okay. So I went to Achimota Preparatory School from, yes, up to class 6. And the one thing that I remember from Achimota Preparatory School was that, one of our teachers was Caucasian. We had quite a few Caucasian teachers. One of them, every morning when her husband dropped her off, he would kiss her. And I used to find that strange, really I found it so strange. In class, honestly, I used to, as a kid, I'm thinking, what is going on here? He would come up in a Beetle and you'd come in. So I found that strange. Then from New Hope, from Achimota Preparatory, I went to Tema Secondary School. When I went to Tema Secondary School, then F.K. Bois was the head teacher. And F.K. Bois had a certain aura around him. It was a certain mature, certain confident, slight, self-assuredness. He was very self-assured. And you'd go to him in his office and he was sitting, some distance away from the door with, nice oak table. That was very good. So I went to Tema. From Tema, I went to the University of Ghana, did admin. I keep on saying that I failed my A-levels. First time I failed miserably.
Why?
I don't know. I wasn't studying.
Was it because of the syllabus?
No. You see, the first time I failed actually was common entrance. Common entrance I didn't do too well. You know why? Because my mother had prepared ham and cheese sandwiches and scotch for me. So all during the exam, all I was thinking was about that. My whole mind was, when is there going to be a break? When will I have my sandwiches? When is there going to be a break? When is there going to be sandwiches? So, I didn't, it was okay. Then A-level I failed again. I think I got 1 C and 2 E's, something like that, 1 C and 3 E's. Then the second time I got 1 A and 2 B's.
Oh, wow.
But I think that, you see, everybody has talent.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity.
Yeah.
I have very little talent, but I've had so much opportunity. I've had good people around me. I've had people to learn from. I've had people to teach me. If I go and tell some of the people I've met, I've had so much opportunity. And my dream is that I give a lot of people opportunity. I really dream of giving people opportunity. That's what I'm looking for. Because I've had so much opportunity. Just too much.
After your entrance and then, later perfected all of that, then you got admission into the University of Ghana Business School.
I did admin. Admin was okay. It was okay. Admin was okay. And I felt that maybe if I had my way again, would have done something a bit more, maybe would have read a bit more, be less technical. But after admin, at that time in my mind, we had to travel. Ghana was tough. Trust me, Ghana was tough. And everybody was leaving. I remember the day I sat in that plane, I looked outside. Ghana was, I looked out the window, looked to my left, to my right. I said, this country, I'm never, ever going to come back. I said, I'm not going to come back. We're all traveling. As soon as you finish, you're out. As soon as you finish, you're out. And so I got an ISEC traineeship. ISEC was an international organization for students in business and economics, which found placements for their members throughout the world. And I got traineeship in the UK. Some people went to the US. And then when I went on ISEC traineeship, I then got a chance to work for a firm of chartered accountants in London. I remember going for my interview, and the guy who gave me the job is called Peter Tech. So there's me, I'd come from Ghana. I'd done admin, I'd done very well with my A-levels. I just felt, I really know what's up, And so I go to this, I go in there, there's a nice reception, the flower pot to the left. And as I'm sitting there, somebody comes in with a spray gun.
Okay.
Then goes inside. Then 10 minutes later, he comes out and then proceeds to spray every leaf in the plant and clean it. I'm saying, what's wrong with these people? Then I went in there. So behind the desk was this middle-aged white man. I think probably he was around 40 at the time. It's called Peter Tech. He had his dark rimmed glasses. And then we started to chat. You know, he had his starched shirt, organized, really very organized. Yeah. And he had a grey suit on, and he was talking to me about me, myself. And then he said something to me. I don't know what he said. But he said, then I said that, well, maybe if the black people in this country, maybe if they went to school, they would also be able to progress in society. And then this white man, Peter Tech, now tells me that he says, well, I agree with you, because I knew what I was talking about. I mean, I'm from Ghana, I know what I'm talking about. You know, I finished university. He says, maybe sometimes if you see where they're put, it's no wonder why so many of them give up. But it's about perseverance. Mm-hmm. And it took me 10 years to understand. You know, it took me 10 years to understand. It took me 10 years to understand that you can't do it alone.
Yeah.
It took me 10 years to understand that you really got to be more aware of your environment, you know. It took me 10 years to understand that my success was not, it's not dependent on me. And that word perseverance and, you know, attention to detail is something I learned training as an accountant. It added to already what I had. And because you had to be perfect.
Yep.
I mean, if you leave a full stop out of a document this big, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, all these things contribute to make who we become. And I hope that I'm able to pass that on to people around me.
So let's talk about your passion for business and especially the love for money, the financial sector. How did you develop this passion? Did you know right from the word go that you were going to venture into this area? Was that why you chose to go to the University of Ghana Business School?
Okay, you see, first, at the time, if you were going to university, the only jobs that, you know, were worth doing in those days, because we didn't know anything, was maybe accounting or medicine or law or some profession. That's all we knew. So we're sort of, it was ahead, we were following the trend. So I don't think it was because of a love for money. But I think that, you know, when you're in business, and that's a mistake that a lot of people do, especially a lot of young people, is they say, you know, I have a plan, a service or a product, and nobody's supporting me.
Yeah.
The most important thing is that you must provide value. Where's the value? You know, I wake up every morning and say, how do I provide value to people? How do I solve problems? Because if I solve problems, I'll be successful. And I think going to business to say you're going to make money, really, for me, that's not business. You've got to go to business to solve a problem. By solving a problem, you provide value. For example, we have a product called Dalex Swift. Dalex Swift has over 120,000 subscribers. Why? Because it allows you to make regular contributions to an investment account from the convenience of your phone. It's value right there.
Yeah.
So from your mobile phone, from your mobile money wallet, you can contribute as low as 1 CD every day if you want to.
Yeah.
So I think of value. I've never ever said I want to make money.
I see that you have a lot of passion for the job you do. So there must be something that drives that passion.
Oh, I think the financial sector was, you know, I went into auditing. It was more by default rather than something that I set out to do. You know, I came back to Ghana in 2000 because by 2000, you know, I was nowhere near the top. In England, I was nowhere near the bottom. And I thought, I've got to do something. You know, this is this country where I said, you know, I'm not going to go again, but, you know, I've got to do something because I don't see where I really got to do something. I've got to take some risk. I've got to have value. And I remember that I used to say to myself all the time that up to that point, my life had been straightforward. I hadn't done anything. So you fail A-level, you pass. You finish university, you get accountancy, you qualify. Really, what have you done? You haven't done anything. And I'm one person that's always looking for incremental growth. So I came back and I've met some very fantastic people who I didn't know. I met Mr. Brooks, he's a very fantastic person, became friends. And that's how into finance started.
Yeah.
But I didn't really wake up and say, oh, I'm going to do into financial services. It was something that happened. And the principles are the same. You know, whether you are selling shoes, whether you are selling donuts, whether you are selling hair, the principles to create value and to drive a business are the same. They're the same.
Let me ask you this. Whilst at school, I'm sure your height actually helped you a lot. A lot of people could not play the fool around you.
You see, remember that I went to Form 1 when I was 11 years old.
Okay.
I was 11.
But at that time, I'm sure you would.
But think about an 11-year-old. I'd never been on trotro. I'd never been away from my mother. I remember one of the first things that happened was that I went to dormitory, and when I came back later, my trunk was lost. I can't imagine, and I cried for about an hour.
Oh my goodness.
You know what had happened? I turned my trunk and my name was facing the wall. So, I mean, and so I was bullied a bit because I was chubby. I really didn't know what was, I was really very, very a mother's child. My mother used to visit me every week. Every week, I was bullied a lot. And you know, but I was scared to tell my mother I was being bullied. Because if my mother had known...
Hell will break loose.
Trust my mother, hell will break loose.
My goodness.
If my mother knew, I'm sure even now here in her grave, hell would break loose. Because my mother would take on everybody.
Wow.
Single-handedly. And so I got a bit of bullying. When I look, it wasn't really that bad, you know. But it took me...
It was to toughen you.
Yeah,
a bit.
but my classmates were a bit much older than I was.
Okay.
And it's taken me a long time to actually grow up, which is also fine. I don't have any regrets. In secondary school, I did not learn as much as I learned in primary school. All my education was primary school. Yeah, secondary school, I sort of went through it, but the education was all primary school.
Wow.
Yeah.
And at the university?
University was very much on your own. University, you could do, you were there, nobody really, gave you any direction per se as to what to do. Yeah. I got a second lower. I could have done the first class if I'd applied myself. I just didn't apply myself. Yeah. But that's also good. I think that, you see, I keep saying that success is 95% confidence and 5% education. Yeah. Without that 95%, you can't leverage that 5%. But that 5% too is key.
Very important.
You need to be able to speak to people. You need to be able to, negotiate. You need to be able to hold conversation. And so, primary school was fantastic. Secondary school was okay. University was fine. Traveling, I've learned a lot. So altogether, honestly, I have no regrets. I really have no regrets.
Ken Kwamina Thompson is my guest tonight on PM Personality Profile. We've been speaking and having some interesting time with his childhood and early formative years of his life. By the way, he's a very successful businessman. When I return from this break, we'll be talking about the pivot around which this success turns around. Stay with me. I'm coming right back. Welcome back to PM Personality Profile, and my guest tonight, Kenneth Kwamina Thompson, and we've been having a very interesting conversation. So, which part of the country do you come from?
I'm from Accra. I was born and raised in Kolebu. So where am I from? I'm from Accra, and I say from Accra. And my mother is half Ghana, half Fanti, so I have links with Nungwa, and I have links with Shama. But I'm Accra, and I know Accra. I grew up speaking Ghana, but my mother, they used to speak to my cousins and my people that used to visit and stay in Fanti, so I picked up Fanti. Okay. And one thing I didn't tell you is that, when I was growing up, my mother was the focus of attention for the family. Everybody used to come. Everybody. They used to come.
The first Yoruba.
Yes, my mother was the first Yoruba. And what I'm telling you is what her cousin told me about 3 years ago, we went to visit the grave. And I said, oh, that's true. He said it was the first rabbi in the family.
Oh, wow.
People used to come and stay. And as a child, I used to get upset. I used to get upset because I felt that the food was not enough. You know, they cook for my grandmother, cook for them. Some of them, you know, spent all their holidays. But you know what I found out? They were actually teaching me to give in a very practical way. I learned to give.
Yeah.
I learned to share. You know, I learned to share. I learned that, you know, you say I'm strict, but I know that what I give, I get back.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I learned it. I had an uncle who used to give me money. Every time he'd see me, he'd give me money. So I learned how to, you know, give children money. That's how I learned.
Wow.
I had an uncle who I stayed with for, you know, when I was an Achimota Praetor, I stayed with for about maybe a year or so, but he left and traveled. And he was a teacher. He used to read. And I saw books. You know, although, so I came back, I was, you know, with books. So giving, sharing, the karma that comes with it, the giving, you know, having people to motivate and encourage. My mother used to give people advice all the time. I learned from a very early age. You know, for me, it comes naturally. I mean, I have lots of nephews and nieces that, you know, I mentor people's friends' children, you know, adults, because it's easy to give.
Your sister was telling me about how you mentor her kids.
Yeah, it comes back all the time.
Recently, we've been hit by the pandemic, and the financial sector is one of the most hit. Must have been tough for you.
Well, COVID has hit everybody. And, you know, there's this huge slowdown in demand, and we're on the soup together. So, you know, it's not the financial, everybody's been hit. Unfortunately, some businesses will collapse.
I mean, it's begun to show.
Yes. For Dalex in particular, because we'd invested in technology, work from home for us was seamless. We actually met all our targets, you know, we're selling, we're fine.
Yeah.
But what it has taught me is that, you see, if you set out to provide value, if you set out to develop, if you set out to invest, there are things that happen along the way that help you to become better, you know. So this journey of technology, you know, started years ago, you know, in around about 7 years ago, Mr. Jackson started to work with us. He brought a different angle. But the most important thing of all for a leader is to listen. I mean, I listen a lot. I listen all the time. I listen to my staff, I listen to my nephews and nieces, I listen to my friends, and then I act. Because, like we say in the office, we don't make our own milk, but we make our own cheese. What does that mean? Cheese is made from milk.
Yeah.
But we take milk from different places, put it together to make cheese. That's what we do.
Yeah.
You know, and we have been on this journey for a long time. I know, in all my experience, at least for Dalex, is the only company that I've worked with that actually practices strategic management. We go on road shows, we talk to our staff, you know, everybody understands why we speak, everybody understands what we're doing, everybody. So it's been, I mean, it's been quite seamless. It's got to a point where we're actually giving up office space. For the country, businesses are going to suffer. Some businesses will collapse, will never come back. And people now have to start to think about what next, because it's not going to come back. You know, it's not going to come back.
Talking about collapsing businesses, in the recent financial crisis we had in the finance sector, you said that all the people found culpable should be locked up and the keys thrown into the Odo River. How could you be so cruel to your colleagues?
You know, I still stand by that. You know, I went through a period where, you know, the financial sector crisis resulted in panic withdrawals. And for a few months, you could see that we stopped giving loans. Dalex couldn't give any loans. All the people, because people were drawing their money. You know, the lifeblood of any financial sector is people placing deposits. That's why you give loans. So overnight, I could see the life works being unraveled, all because of the misdeeds of a few people. You can't allow that to happen. I mean, you cannot allow that to happen. In any case, if people do not invest, they break the link between savings and investment, there'll be no development. So what happened was a very serious matter, and anybody who's found culpable should be held accountable.
Is that why some people call you Dr. Doom, because they say you're always delivering bad news?
I speak the truth. I speak the truth, and I'm very passionate about the truth. Over the years, I've spoken about the Ghana CD. Over the years, I've spoken about agriculture. I've spoken about our national debt. Over the years, I've spoken about how we need to increase our income. Over the years, I've spoken about how, we're not developing as we should. But let me read you a poem by Martin Nuemela. I mean, I like the poem. It's a poem I came across in Form 4. And it's also one of the things that has stayed with me. I read it in their brain. It says, it's called They Came For Me. It says, first they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. One day they'll come for you, and there'll be nobody there to speak for you. Let's change this country. It's for the future, our future for our children. And you might think that, well, I'm going to steal so much that my generations will never go hungry. I can assure you, if this country collapses, you collapse as well. The ship called Ghana has no lifeboats. If it goes down, we all go down. And how difficult is this to understand? Recently, during the lockdown, I raised some money from my friends, and I thank them very much for it. I raised about 60,000 cedis to distribute food in my area, area. At Denton, this district is supposed to be the wealthiest, one of the wealthiest in the country. Aisha, the poverty I saw was incredible. I knew it was there, but it's almost as if, well, I'm going to work, so I come back. I see poverty every day.
And talking about poverty, it takes me back to your days growing up in Nungwa.
No, and in Kolebu.
In Kolebu.
But we used to visit my grandfather every Sunday in Nungwa. And you know what I didn't like about Nungwa?
No.
Because then, Kolebu Kolebu was a slice of certain middle class Ghana. We had our telephones, we had our sewage, everything was inside Kolebu. You could do everything within Kolebu. The worst thing was that at that time, they didn't have any flashing toilets in Nungwa. And when the guy who, then they used to carry the lapis on their head. Anytime we got there, as soon as it was time to eat, you turn up. So I had to bribe him. Anytime, and if I had to use it, I was in trouble. At that time, I didn't even know that you had to squat on it. So I would sit on it.
Oh my God.
No, that's too much.
But growing up in Kolebu was, nice.
Kolebu,
You had everything.
Everything was there. Ask anybody who grew up there. Everything was there. Everything was there. Everything was there.
You're a very successful businessman, and I'm sure that didn't come in a day, through consistency and some hard work there. And also, I'm sure there were some people that mentored you that you're still grateful to.
Well, first, I'll say success is relative. I think that, I know for me, I've only achieved 5% of what I can do.
By your standard?
Yeah, only 5%.
That's allowed.
I haven't done anything. And every day I wake up, I tell myself, Ken Thompson, one day somebody will say, you were CEO of Dalex Finance. What did you do? And that day could be that morning, that day could be today. So every time I'm trying to do better. But I've had influences throughout my life. I've talked about my mother and my grandmother. They were a huge influence on me. My mother was no nonsense. She was forthright. She was a very proud person. She was organized. My grandmother was organized. I've thought about how they taught me to give. I've learned to give. I thought of my uncles, the influence they had on me, huge influence. In Achimota Preparatory, the one person that had influence, a lot of influence on me was Mrs. Agudu with a huge wig. She had a huge wig. I didn't even know it was a wig at that time. Huge. And, because she forced me to confront issues, because I used to hide my homework. I don't know why I hid the homework, but I would hide the homework.
Is it because you couldn't do it?
No,
or
I don't
feeling
know.
lazy?
I feel lazy. I just couldn't. I just, I was immature.
Okay.
I was extremely immature. I was just a kid, and nobody really had bothered to sit me down and explain things to me. So I was just sort of making things up as I was going along. In secondary school, F.K. Boa had a huge influence of me because I went to secondary school and I met somebody who embodied all the things that I had grown up with. A certain sense of, he was very an honorable person, knowledgeable, spoke well, spoke English beautifully, spoke very good English, and you'd go into his office, and as you open the door, he sat at the, could see him at the back, with this, he used to wear these political suits. I remember the last ones I saw him wear was light brown, and with his black rimmed glasses, and he'll talk to you. Said, you went to headmaster, this is a headmaster. I really embodied a lot for me. Spoke beautiful English. In Form 3, there was a teacher called Danko. Danko was a maths teacher, and he was teaching us about something to do with the atmosphere. I don't know what it was, but then he talked about vacuum. And before then, the previous periods, he told us that the vacuum was a space with no air. But then now he was telling us about the atmosphere and was still talking about vacuum. And I'm thinking, So I said, what's a vacuum? Because how can there, what are you talking about vacuum when you are talking about space? And everybody laughed. But Danko did not answer the question. And he taught me that, and nobody understood. Because after the lecture, I asked one of my friends, who lost, by me and laughed the loudest, that was a vacuum. He said, no. He didn't know. I said, but why were you laughing? And nobody in the class knew because I kept asking, prep time I was asking, nobody knew, and I'm thinking,
that's a lesson.
Yeah, why would you do that? Why were you laughing? And every time I go for programs, I put my hand up, I say, I understand. When you ask the question, you sort of sense a certain sign of everybody go,
Exactly.
Nobody understands.
Yeah.
So I ask a lot of questions. That's how I learn.
And so a lot of times you do that and you speak for so many people
exactly
who are actually afraid because they will be laughed at.
Exactly.
Well, there's so many young people out there.
Let me tell you one person that influenced me at university. For God's sake, Professor Mills was a brilliant lecturer. He made it so simple. Whilst I had been brought up to speak in a very simple manner, Professor Mills, seeing somebody at that age being able to articulate himself in a simple English and be able to communicate, reinforced the things that I've been brought up with. Yeah, I mean, Professor Mills is a brilliant lecturer. I mean, I didn't do well in his class. I don't know why, because he was saying it so well, I thought maybe I could turn up in the exam, write 3 lines and get an A, but I realized that it didn't work like that. But Professor Mills was beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
I've heard a lot more people talk about him this way. I'm not surprised at all. But there are a lot of young people out there who do not even know where to start from as far as putting a business up. There are others who want to do, but there's no resources to do it. Where did we go wrong? I mean, what's the problem? What's wrong with us? Do you know?
Okay, so I'll break it into 2. Okay, so the first part is that as a country, from where I sit, we've broken the link between endeavor and reward. So we have too many examples of people who have made money overnight. So that really people don't associate hard work with success. That link has been broken. But apart from that, what a lot of young people don't do is they don't realize that setting up a business, the first thing you have to think is, I need to solve a problem. So you got to just ask yourself that, what problem am I solving? And that's what I talk about value. You must provide value. You must provide value. If you can provide value for any product or service, you'll be successful. You can't decide. I mean, I've come across so many people saying that you are not helpful, you don't help business, you don't. I'm thinking, but where's the value? And where's the value? And I don't blame them because, like I said, they haven't had the opportunity to be associated with people that probably will teach them the right way. But in 2020, it's no excuse. The internet, it's no excuse. But people expect that on Monday they have a business plan. The most important thing for them is that they have registered with the Registrar's General Department and they have a business card with their name on it, Chief Executive Officer. By Tuesday, they want to have bought a car. By Wednesday, they have a wife. By Thursday, they have something else. But it doesn't work like that. You know, you have to push yourself. You have to make sacrifices. You have to be able to work 24/7. It's sweat and toil. And as soon as you remember that it's sweat and toil, it's easy. And remember, they've also got to remember that there are millions of people all over the world doing the same thing every day. It's sweat and toil. But underlying it all is the break between endeavor and reward. There are too many people that make money without working, and it sets a bad example for the young people. It's a bad example.
Yeah.
Very bad example. But hey, you know, 50 million in 2050, you know, we've all got to look sharp.
But thanks to coronavirus, so many businesses are collapsing, and you indicated that earlier, that many of them would collapse. Are you satisfied with how the situation has been handled so far, as far as the pandemic is concerned?
What, you mean in terms of government response?
And businesses coming back?
You know, first, let me say that when I say businesses will collapse, I'm not saying it because I want businesses to collapse. Because
it's the reality.
It's the reality. And, you know, people have put their lives. Can you imagine your business collapsing when you are 59 or 60 or 62? How do you start? So that I find that very challenging. Unfortunately, you know, some help can be given to some businesses, but a lot of help can be given to other businesses, because what do you want to do? First, there's no demand. So, for example, you are a caterer. There's no demand for your service. But meanwhile, you have staff. You have to lay them off. Meanwhile, you know, you have maybe a loan you are paying. You have children that go to school. So all those things are affected. It's not possible that the government will be able to support all of them. And unfortunately, I think that even the support that was available through the NBSSI, I've said over and over again, I disagree with it. What's NBSSI got to do with distributing money to companies of Paris? What do they know about risk? What do they know about risk? But all I can say to those that are suffering from it is they've got to find a way to get out of it. I don't know which other way to put it. It's just so sad.
Coupled with that is the fact that many people have also lost their monies through men's gold coast securities and all of that. And many are putting the blame at the doorsteps of the Bank of Ghana and the Security and Exchanges Commission. Who would you blame from where you sit and from what you know?
Okay, so about a couple of years ago, somebody came to our office, somebody who was in the media actually, I'll mention their name, shook me. I said, Mr. Thompson, you know, I want a loan. I said, why should I give you this? So, you know, I've put some money in men's gold, and when it matures, I'll pay you. You know, in about by September, you know, the money, I would have got my money back, I'll be getting. And I said, this thing's going to collapse. It's too good to be true. The blame, we are all to blame. I think regulation could have been more tighter and could have come down harder on the people, the rogues. I call them rogues. Regulation could have probably been tightened more quickly. I also think that some of us, you know, when it's too good to be true, it's probably not true. But all the signs that, you know, you look out for, people sort of ignore them and went ahead. And it's very unfortunate because, you know, people have lost money. You know, I remember a few years ago, we actually put out, Dalex Finance put out, what did we put out? Letters, open letters in 2 newspapers. And we said, the way the interest rates are being paid, we cannot pay it. They're not realistic. You know, but I don't say that to make it sound as if, you know, really we're smart. Maybe we're just fortunate to have some good insight into what was happening.
And that's the reality.
Maybe we had good insight, you know, because we said we couldn't do it. I mean, we were working with credit unions and we showed them a film. You know, at that time we made a film of some credit union which had lost money with a financial institution because the rates were, you know, blah, blah, blah. And they threw it out of the place. They said, oh, Dalex, move from us and fuel.
Really?
Just last year, we've been showing them again. And now they say, hey, Prophet Amunjiska. But it's because, you see, and I give a lot of credit to Mr. Jackson, who I work with. You know, one thing, in the last 6 years, when we work, we say, you know, we don't BS each other. You know, look, we talk about reality. Yeah. And we've actually practiced strategic management. We've actually sat down, thought about what we're doing, thought about blue ocean, red ocean strategies. Where do we go? What do we do? How do we motivate our staff? And it's not things that we came up with, things that people are doing. And we said, like I said, we make our own cheese, we don't make our own milk. We said, oh, I see. Is that how you do it? And we copied. So you've got to do the basic things and you've got to do them well. You've got to plan. You've got to listen. You know, you've got to go and read. You've got to research.
What do you want changed? The one most important thing you want changed in the financial sector?
More support should be given to indigenous finance companies. More support. Regulation, more support. But actually, when I think about it more, you know, the commercial courts should dispatch commercial cases expeditiously. Justice should be dispensed speedily. Speedily. You know, it's difficult to say one thing, actually. When I look back, you know, the court system dispatch cases speedily. People come to borrow and they have no intention of paying because they bank with this person, they bank with that person, nobody knows them. But if you have a system like that, who's going to invest? Identification, land registration system. It's a mess. It's a total mess. You know, how are you going to be able to give loans under such conditions? And people forget that it's private capital. Yeah. It's a mess. I've been reading a book called Mindset. And everybody should read it. All the young people, read Mindset. And it talks about a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. It's a fixed mindset which believes that intelligence is fixed, blah, blah, blah. And at certain times in my life, I had a fixed mindset. I remember when I started accountancy exams, you know, they gave you this pile of books. And I convinced myself that, no, it's too much. I can't do it. And all I had to do was to sit down and learn. That's all. And it was so easy. And from then on, I proceeded to keep failing. I failed until I passed. And then, so that was a fixed mindset. And then there's a growth mindset which believes that intelligence is something that, you know, you can add to all the time. You know, and all this I'm telling you was a book written by Carol Dweck. You know, there are a lot of people. He writes about. I think he's a psychologist. Yeah. But his is the more famous work on mindset. So, I believe that there's nothing I want to do that I can't do. I just have to apply myself. And that's what I'll tell young people. There's nothing you want to do that you cannot do. Just apply yourself.
By the way, you look very healthy, and I think you've lost some weight.
I lost some weight, yes. You know, lockdown has been good to me. because of lockdown, when it started initially, we weren't going to the office. I mean, we're still working, but we're not going to the office. Then now I go to the office much later, so I can wake up in the morning, I can exercise, you know, I have a group of people, we walk, we jog. Do you know, we actually walked from the Tema motorway toll booth to Accra Mall. We did that one day.
You don't mean it?
Yeah, we did it, you know. So that's how it's happened.
That's right.
And you know, when you lose weight too, it gives you some confidence. Yes, you know, it gives you confidence. You are healthier.
You feel light.
You feel light. You know, I've also gone dairy free. So now I don't do milk, butter, bread, pastry. I never used to, but I cut it all out. Yeah.
Wow. I should start learning from you.
I think you should come for classes. It's helped me even concentrate better. You know, because when you exercise, you've got to concentrate. I've learned to concentrate. And that's why I keep on telling you that, for me, every day I improve.
You do.
And
is that why you're drawing these days?
No. So I was telling you that so when I read Mindset, it talked about the left and the right brains and how, I think it's the left brain that dominates. And that drawing is about perception, how you perceive angles, how you perceive shapes. And it showed that you could be taught to draw if you're given the right lessons over maybe a week. So I bought the book on learning to draw, and I'm beginning to draw. It actually, refers to Van Gogh. When Van Gogh was asked to draw, and when he was asked to draw initially, he said, "No, I can't," until he read the book. So everything you want to do, you can do it.
You can do it.
You can do it.
You want to share some of your drawings with us?
I'll say what I've done so far. Then you have to come back, and then we'll see how it's changed over time. So this is my left hand. So this I drew my left hand.
Okay.
This is my left hand.
It's beautiful. I mean, for a learner.
Yeah, for a learner. And technically, after 10 lessons, I should be able to draw, and I'm going to do it. Okay.
So what was the thinking whilst you were drawing?
Okay. So the whole idea behind this, and I went to an art shop to buy all these things, is that it's telling you that you can learn to draw. So these are, you do some drawings when you start, and then you'll be asked to do them again at the end of the course.
And so, okay.
This is then you got to draw somebody from memory. So when you begin, you are drawing 3 people from memory. This is my daughter. I'm sure she'll kill me for this, but hey, never mind. This is my daughter. So I drew it from memory.
Okay.
Okay. This from memory.
Wow.
This from memory. And then this is...
You're not doing bad at all.
I'm not. Then this is a self-portrait.
Okay. I see.
So, and when you go through the book, you find people, they show you the before and after. And they're completely different.
It's different.
And then I'm thinking, well, of course, it makes sense. They
But
can
this
teach you.
for-
You see, and what Mindset has taught me is that, nobody is born intelligent. Nobody is born intelligent. We can all improve upon intelligence.
Improve.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some people have learned very quickly that they can develop that potential, and other people have not had the opportunity to get that experience. So just tell them.
You need to apply yourself.
Yes,
to
that's
it.
all it is.
That's very thought-provoking.
Everybody has potential.
That's very
Everybody.
thought-provoking.
Everybody can be anything they want to be.
So you've been working out, and you've been doing some
You see,
golf as well.
I've been working out. I used to play golf.
Okay.
I've started playing again, but you see now my secret is coming out because I've been practicing in secret. Because I've got to practice before I go on the course. If I don't, I'm going to show. If I don't practice before I go on the course, they'll take my money, they'll laugh at me, I'll be buying all the beer, and they'll confirm. Yes, so I've started trying to practice golf again. And also, going back to golf, I just got to apply myself.
Yeah.
What do you think? You can wake up in the morning and just go and play.
Never.
Apply yourself.
Apply yourself.
So for all the young people out there, just look, you can be whatever you want to be. Apply yourself.
And that's the word I'm taking home. Apply yourself. Nobody was born intelligent.
Nobody's born.
You just got to apply yourself. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aisha.
Kenneth Kwamina Thompson. I didn't know you were Kwamina. I was really enthused when I saw the Kwamina.
You like Kwamina?
I love it.
I tried to change my name to Kwamina Thompson, but if you those that call me Kwamina, they know me from home. Yeah.
Okay.
Kenneth is cool.
It's cool.
And then it has been difficult to abandon the Kenneth. But I really want to abandon it.
You want to abandon?
Yeah, because it doesn't mean anything to me.
Okay, we're starting from here.
Kwamina Thompson. Yeah.
Has been my guest for Fear and Personality Profile. I've really enjoyed talking to him, and I have a lot of take home from this conversation. I'm so grateful for allowing us in here. But don't forget, from here we're going to the golf pitch. He wants to show us something. I want to apply myself so that I can also learn to play some golf. So we'll do something together.
You see, golf is a game you play once, then you spend the rest of your life, it's bigger than you by your money, trying to improve your game. And it's about, I tell you about mindset, applying yourself. When people go, especially when they go for motivational events, they come and say, yeah, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
But it's not straight. So first, I check my, direction. Okay. I come around, I address the ball. I bend down, bend my knees a little bit, spread my legs a bit. Then I go back and I take a practice swing. The practice swing must be the same as what you do when you actually hit the ball. Okay. So, and keep your wrist firm.
Okay.
So I check my practice swing. So technically I should do the same thing
When you touch the ball.
Same thing. So very firm. Come round. Come round. Come round. Okay. Put the clap behind the ball. The way you're holding, I'm beginning to get scared. The way you're holding, I'm beginning to get scared. The ball should be between your legs. Yeah. It's too wide. Too wide. Your feet pointing straight. The way you see the ball go.
Okay, so it should be like this.
Aha. Now come this way. Okay, now do a practice swing. Go back. And keep your wrist firm. Practice swing. Yeah, firm. 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 Okay, now let's do it.
Thank you so much,
Good to see you. Yes.
I've really enjoyed
Thanks for coming.
being here with you.
50 million by 2050. Aisha, you'll be here.
It's so here.
I'm gone. I'll be gone. 50 million.
I'm thinking about it.
50 million.
Oh my God, we got to do something about
50 million.
Before
I'll be gone. I'm gone.
We are overwhelmed.
By the way, thank you. That was an excellent show.
Viewers, thank you so much for watching. Next week, same time, we'll be coming your way with another wonderful personality. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of our program.